All right. Well, welcome to our back to school parent information session. Today's topic is going to be about Driveline and Pick My Kid, as well as information for our walkers and our bike riders. I have a lot to cover. So I'm going to try and go through it as quickly as I can, but please be patient. We do have a lot of information and I'm covering stuff K through 12. Again, I will record this and I will put the PDF of the slide presentations on our website, and I will include it in our parent newsletter that's going to go out on Friday. And I will hopefully have some time to take questions at the end. I will stay on for anyone who has additional questions, but I would really like to kind of take this time to get through the presentation. So while I'm going through the presentation, I won't really be able to monitor that chat box because I don't have anyone else helping me on this presentation today. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started with sharing the presentation. Over here. Okay. All right. Give me just a moment. So I keep this one window open in case other people are joining us. So welcome everybody. This is our parent back to school parent information session. Here are the topics that we are going to cover today. Why do we have Drivelines, information for walkers and bike riders. And then we're going to touch on morning and afternoon Driveline for West and for East as well. Okay, so why do we have a Driveline? Driveline is a requirement of our transportation management plan. And it is a requirement for us to have this plan in order to maintain our charter contract with Douglas County School District. It's also a requirement for Douglas County. So we not only have to work with the school district, but we have to submit our plan to the county and have it signed off as well. And so all of our families need to know what's in our transportation management plan, as well as how to access our school building, because we do operate in a business park. We have a neighborhood that's right next door. And so if we're not being good neighbors, we do get, the county does get reports, and then we have visitors from the county that come out and they will audit us and they will provide us feedback. And in some cases, if it does get very, very bad, there will be questions about our charter. So we don't want it to get to that. So we always provide this type of information session to start the school year. And then we also provide updates throughout the school year through the newsletter and on our website, and sometimes a school messenger message. We post it on Facebook. It's really important for all of us to work together. You'll start to notice when you get multiple notices about information when it comes to Driveline. That means that we have a handful of folks that are not following what the transportation management plan outlines. So and that just means that we have to remind our families of what the expectation is. So we would like for everybody to review this, make sure that they understand it, ask questions early, don't show up to the first day of school not knowing what you're doing, because that really impacts others in a very negative way. It delays Driveline. It has negative impacts on students and teachers because they can't start the day off on time and creates a lot of stress. So however we can help all work together would be really, really great. So let's go ahead and jump right in. We're going to touch first on the walkers and bike riders. So in the morning, it is super important. Anybody who accesses our campus either by a bike or by walking, it is incredibly important that you do so using the crosswalks at all times. Because we are in a business park, there are not necessarily crosswalks as you would find in a neighborhood, but we do have crosswalks, okay? They're just maybe not in what you might feel is the most convenient, but it is really important that you utilize those crosswalks. And I'll show some examples as we go through the presentation. When you cross where there are no crosswalks, we have an accident. We had accidents last year. We had multiple students that got hit by cars, had to be transported to the hospital. And then it also delays our Driveline. So it's really, really important that everybody utilizes those crosswalks. And it's really important that you review this with your students, because we will notify students and we will have that conversation with them. But in a lot of instances, the students feel like, we're telling them what to do once it's after school or right before school. So we really need that parent support to help reinforce what we're asking. Really, really big. Do not pull over to the side of the road to let your student out. It is an active roadway, and we do have school resource officers, and we have extra duty police officers that will ticket you if you do not drop your student off within our parking lot, and that is using our Driveline. Okay, so if you just pull alongside campus, drop them off on the sidewalk, it's an active roadway where you cannot stop. There are signs posted. And so just be aware, you can get a ticket for that. You will also probably have a Driveline attendant that will kind of alert you that you cannot drop students off there. Okay, we don't want to be creating a stressful situation for anybody, so please abide by that. Okay. Also, please do not park in any of the businesses that are surrounding us and walk over, because those are their spaces, and they will ticket and they will eventually tow. We do have a very good working relationship with them. However, during the school year, that working relationship gets very strained when our parents park, and even our students park, and sometimes our staff park in their lots and take up those spaces that are for either their customers or for their employees. Okay, so you can park in the neighborhood that is across the street, and we'll cover that in a slide coming up, but please make sure that you are not doing so illegally. Okay, and we'll cover that in a slide coming up. Okay, so walkers and bike riders, again, this is stuff that anybody who accesses our campus using either of those modes, we ask that you please follow these instructions. On the left side of the screen, you'll see how to access our campus from the west side, and that would be our elementary school access. On the right-hand side, you can see the east access. These images are also on our website on the Driveline page. I just pulled out all of this information into a nice presentation. So you see where I have those nice big red X's. Those are there because those are the most common places where people cross illegally across the street, and where it creates the biggest impact to our Driveline and where we have had accidents. So you will see that there is a crosswalk, and I'm not sure if you can see my my pointer, but there is a crosswalk at the top of Barron's where it intersects with what's called Blue Point. Okay, and that is where your crosswalk is. So if you come from the south, or if you come from that neighborhood, you will walk north to where that stop sign is, and that is where you will cross the street. We at times have a police officer that is at the intersection where I believe it's called Gramercy Street and Barron's. He will direct you to go down to the stop sign. Now, if he's in a position to where he can legally stop traffic and allow you to cross the street, that would be the only instance where you're allowed to do so. Okay, otherwise, please use that crosswalk. On the right-hand side, where we're talking about the east access, you can see all of those X's along Ridgeline. Those are, again, where we've had people cross illegally, where we have had accidents. So students have to go all the way up to the north side of campus. And right across Ridgeline, where it intersects with Blue Point, there is a crosswalk right there. There's also a bus stop right there. The reason why we do not why it is not allowed for parents to students or anybody to cross the street along that Ridgeline road is because it is a blind corner, and the speed limit is even though it is marked for a school zone, the speed limit for there is no speed limit, school zone speed limit signage. So there is no actual directive as to what that there's a special speed limit for inside the school zone. So that's why the Douglas County Sheriff's Office has directed all families and has directed us to tell all families to please cross at those designated crosswalks. Okay, now the students can come up North Ridgeline if they and enter into the campus if they are on the west side of Ridgeline. If they're coming up Ridgeline and they're on the east side, they have to go all the way up north. So there are crosswalks farther down where they can safely cross the street and then access campus on that west side as they're walking up on the sidewalk along Ridgeline. Okay, so in the afternoon, elementary Walker Pickup is on the east side of the elementary school building, and I have a photo that indicates where that is. That there is a playground that is there. So that way that's a reference point for you. If this is your first time picking up your students, you will use the Pick My Kid app, and we'll go into that in more detail further in this presentation. You'll utilize that app to announce your student that you're here to pick them up. We have a separate attendant and a helper that assists with getting students from the classroom out to the walker door. Okay. And again, we'll cover Pick My Kid later on in this presentation. Again, if you are coming to pick up your student for elementary, please do not park in the surrounding businesses. Because they will ticket you. So just keep that in mind as you're accessing our campus. There is not a whole lot of public parking around our campus. And just off the top of my head, the only thing that public parking that I can think of is in the neighborhood that's on the west side. But again, if you're going to park there, just make sure that you're doing so legally. Okay. Secondary walkers will exit the east side of the campus, which is our secondary building entrance and exit, and they can leave campus. They will also be directed to utilize the crosswalks in order to get across the street if needed. We do have our SRO that assists with Driveline. However, that is not his primary job. Okay, his primary job is being inside of our building and keeping our students safe inside the building. And so sometimes he does have responsibilities that keep him inside the building. His job is to not be directing traffic. That is why we go into this transportation management plan with our parents, and we cover everything with our parents and our high school drivers so that everybody can be, in a sense, as self-sufficient as possible, and everybody understands what their role is in this, okay? Bike racks are located on the east side of the campus by the secondary entrance. Okay, so if you do have an elementary school student that bikes with their secondary sibling, they will just ride their bike around to the east side of the campus and lock their bikes there. Please make sure that your students are locking their bikes to the bike racks. And because we are not going to be responsible for any bikes that go missing or stolen. So just make sure that they know how to do that before they get here. We do have quite a few students that bike, and so we absolutely love to see that. So now I'm going to touch on our Driveline. So if you had a question about walkers and bike riders, you can put it in the chat box, but I won't kind of hit those questions until the very end of the presentation. So we have two Drivelines. That's elementary, which we also call our West Driveline. And that is for elementary students, and then elementary students with a secondary sibling. Okay, you'll use this loop for pickup and drop off. So if you have a third grader and a sixth grader, you will use the West Driveline. Okay, elementary students will not get picked up. You will use the West Driveline. You will not use the East Driveline.
Can you say that one more time for clarity, Nicole? Sorry.
Yes, I'm sorry. My east and west kind of get a little bit confused because I'm facing south. So sorry, in my office. So elementary students, so if, let's say you have a third grader and a sixth grader, you will pick everybody up through our elementary Driveline, which is on the west side. Okay. If you have an elementary student and you're trying to pick them up on the east side, we will not allow that. Okay. Because elementary students cannot.
If you have a secondary and an elementary student, if you have high school and elementary, where do you want us to go?
The west side of the building. So you will use elementary school Driveline.
Okay.
Okay. So if you just have a student in grades 6 through 12, and that's all you're picking up, you will use the east side, which is secondary.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay. I'm sorry. I didn't understand that sixth grade was secondary.
Yes.
I thought ninth grade is high school. So I was like, but when do we get into high school? Okay.
No problem. So I should say, so our elementary is K through 5, and then our secondary, we have 6 through 12. So that is really good for the clarification. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to touch on our West Driveline in the morning. This will probably, morning drop-offs are probably going to be your easiest ones, because those are, you get in line, you know, push them out the door, and then you drive off, right? So there's not a whole lot that is involved. Essentially, it's just getting into the Driveline, making sure that you're only making a right into our parking lot. Now that I'm talking to our elementary families or our elementary and secondary families who drop off together. That opens up at 7:10. You can get into the parking lot a little bit earlier than that, but we do not open car doors, and that means the Driveline attendants do not come out to assist students to get out of the car until 7:10. So no students should be exiting the car before 7:10. Okay, elementary Driveline closes at 7:45. Okay, so if you have a student that's arriving at 7:45 or later, you will have to park, okay, and you will have to come in and sign them in. Okay, so if you're motoring in at 7:45 and make that right-hand turn into the parking lot, we will make you park your car. Okay, so the goal is to really try and get there before 7:45. Okay, and partly because our Driveline attendants are also our instructional assistants that are inside the classroom, so they cannot be out at Driveline after that kind of 7:43, 7:44 mark. Okay, they have to be inside the classroom. So we need for all cars to come up Barron's from the south. Okay, you're going to head north on Barron's, which is on the west side of our campus. You will make a right-hand turn into our elementary school parking lot. In most cases, we have somebody that's at the entrance. That's usually me. I help out in the mornings because sometimes we don't have enough volunteers. And so the attendant is standing there and directing parents to come into the parking lot. We have 3 lanes when you pull in and you come around the corner. We need for families to use all 3 lanes on that back side of the parking lot. And you'll see that on this graphic on the right-hand side toward the bottom, you see a green, a yellow, and a red lane. Those are 3 lanes that we need full in order to get those cars off of Barron's Boulevard. Okay. Now I want to make sure that I stress this. If you are approaching our West Driveline, that's our elementary school Driveline from the north, do not come down Barron's Boulevard from the north, because I will not let you in that parking lot. Okay, I will make you very frustrated. You will get mad at me. I will make you circle around and get all the way at the end of the line. Okay, the only people that are allowed to make a left-hand turn into that parking lot are our staff members. And typically that is only because by the time Driveline starts, that means that the teacher is running late or that staff member is running late. Okay, they should already be inside the building. So that is the only reason why we're letting families make that left-hand turn. The reason, staff members, the reason why we don't let families make a left-hand turn is because it slows down Driveline and it creates a hazard. Okay, as you experience Driveline, if this is your first time, you will understand the reason why we do that. Okay, so as those lanes kind of come around the corner of the backside of Driveline, the 2 outer lanes, that yellow and that red lane, will merge into 1 lane, as you can see in that graphic. So as they kind of filter into the parking lot, no, you're going to go from 3 to 2 lanes. Those 2 lanes progress all the way through toward the front side of our elementary school. And then where you see this, the blue area from down at the bottom all the way to the top, that is our unloading zone. Okay, so we do not unload where you only see the red, the yellow, and the green lanes. That is not an unload zone. Okay, so even if you're running late and your kiddo's running late, do not unload there. It is incredibly unsafe to do so because we have cars that are moving through that parking lot and they will not, I guarantee you, will not see your kiddo running through the cars. Okay.
Oh, excuse me, this is Deepak.
Yes, could we potentially hold, I have a lot of slides.
Sure, okay, fine.
Feel free to just put it in the chat box and I'll make sure to go back through it if you're thinking about it right now. Okay, I just don't want to go over my time too much with the presentation. Okay, so if you're dropping off a student with your elementary student and they are taking part in the before school care program that runs through our enrichment programming, they will enter through the middle school cafeteria. We will have an attendant there at those doors that will allow for them to come in. They can access that cafeteria as early as 7:20 and then they can wait in there until it's time to be released after 7:30 to their classrooms. And those are the secondary students. Okay, so we're going to continue with West Driveline in the morning. It's really helpful that when you get into Driveline that you proceed as far forward as you possibly can. We need to stack as many cars into Driveline. It actually does flow fairly quickly if we can get everybody to kind of follow the same process. Really important to stay in your lane and do not pass. We've had a number of accidents in Driveline because they they either try to change lanes and they don't see the car there, or they swing wide, or they swing too narrow. We had a few right at the beginning of the school year, and it will delay because then we have to wait for our SRO to come over and do, if he's not busy on handling something else, to come over and do a traffic incident report. We do try and move them off to the side, but sometimes he instructs them to stay. That way he can at least see it and document it with his body cam, and then he'll move the cars. What you see here to the right, this is a drop-off video that I did. It's back from 2021. Most of it still applies. Okay, we're working on refreshing some of those instructional videos right now, but due to construction, I didn't want to do too much. You can find all of those on our Driveline page, so I'm not going to play them. But I do want to point out that when you exit our Driveline, if you are in the left lane, you will turn left onto Barron's. And if you are in the right lane, you will turn right. Okay. Right now, you can only go left and right. We do have families in the past that have gone straight across, and that is not something that we allow. Okay. It is either a left or a right. Okay. So please keep that in mind. If you're going straight across, it is a hazard to the kids who are crossing the street. And there are a lot of families that park there. So it does create an issue. So it's really only a left or a right. So when you pull into our Driveline, we'll do our best to accommodate you being in the correct lane, but just know the Driveline attendant might have to put you in a very specific lane in order to get as many cars into the parking lot. Okay. So we do try and accommodate what you want. So a lot of families get in and they stay in that left lane because they know when they come, they want to exit, they want to make that left out of the parking lot. But if we are stacking up on Barron's, we might force you into that either that right lane or that far right lane. Okay, so just be patient with us. We're not trying to be rude or mean. We just need to get cars into the parking lot to unload. And then a really big thing is to please stay off your phone, because that just delays not only just seeing and recognizing what our Driveline attendants are asking you to do, but it's also being inside the parking lot. Staff members are parking, they're trying to access the building. So we want to make sure that everybody's paying attention to what's going on. Okay. And please also, I don't have it on this slide, but the speed limit is 5 miles an hour. You might access the Driveline like toward the end and it might be really flowing. You might really want to feel like, oh, 15 is not a big deal. Please try and keep it to 5. Go really slow through that parking lot. Oh, you don't need to listen to me. So now I'm going to talk about West Driveline pickup times. Okay. These are already pre-assigned. We are going to touch on placards as I get farther into the presentation. We are pre-printing all placards to start the school year, so no need to request anything right now. And we have placard pickup windows that are currently on our calendar. So if you haven't checked those out yet, or if you didn't see that update in the newsletter, please check that out. Those are the timeframes of when you can come in and pick up your placards, and then also request additional placards if you have multiple cars that we'll be picking up. So we have a green, an orange, and a yellow window. Our green window, the pickup time frame is 2:20 to 2:30, and that's only for grades kindergarten and first grade. So you will receive a placard for if you only have a kindergarten or if you only have a first grade student, you will receive a green placard that has their name on it. Okay. You will also in Pick My Kid be able to announce at a very particular time. Okay. The app will allow you to do that based off of the settings inside the app. Okay. Now we do allow cars to start stacking in the parking lot starting at 2:15. So it's really important to understand the difference of what we're saying here. You can access the parking lot to get in line and stack for kindergarten and elementary starting at 2:15. We do not release students until 2:20. Okay, that 5 minutes allows for our Driveline attendants to come out with the app, put the cars in order, stack the cars appropriately, and get people in line. And then kiddos start coming out at 2:20. Please do not try to access Drivelines and do not get into the parking lot before 2:15. We have very specific reasons why we do that. One of them is in the event of emergency, we cannot have only those 2 lanes to get in and out of our parking lot full of cars. It's really hard to move them. Another example, last year we had I want to say 4 or 5 instances where we had really bad weather, and there were components to our parking lot that would flood. And so the weather started early, and because we had Driveline full, we weren't able to keep families out of the parking lot. So people kind of just felt very stuck, okay? And we don't want to create that anxiety for families. So if you have a student, then you are picking up, please wait with questions, okay? Type them in the chat box. I promise you I will get through them. I've got like 35 slides to get through, okay? The orange placard, you can start entering Driveline at 2:30, which means entering into the parking lot at 2:30. And that's for students. If you are picking up a kindergarten through first grade, as well as a second through fifth grade, okay? If you are just picking up a kindergarten student or a first grade student, it's really helpful for us if you come during that first 10-minute window, okay? If you are then picking up a student at any grade level in elementary that has a secondary student, or if you're doing a carpool with a secondary student, you will come at 2:55 and enter into Driveline, okay? Again, and also if you're doing a carpool with multiple families, you'll get the appropriate color, okay? So just know when to enter into Driveline, okay? So in the afternoon, you will need a placard, and you don't need to use the placard for the morning. Placards are just for the afternoon, okay? They're going to be pre-printed, as I said. If during the year you need a replacement, you will just email that support email. It gets assigned to me, and we will print them. They will be placed in the teacher's mailbox, okay? They must be displayed through the entire afternoon dismissal process. We have a couple of checks and balances throughout the process, so it's really helpful if you could please leave them displayed all the way until you actually exit the Driveline. Okay, that is another check and balance for us to make sure that we have, if we're missing a kiddo, that we have the name, you know, we do a thumbs up, thumbs down, that kind of thing. So just super helpful that you leave that placard in there. And this is probably going to be the biggest component is the Pick My Kid Dismissal App. Okay. We're going to touch on that in these next slides. But if you have not already done so, please download Pick My Kid. There's also a tutorial page on our website. So if you go to stemk12.org, top right-hand corner, you'll see parents. When you click on that, you're going to want to click on Get Informed. Okay. On the right-hand side of that page, you'll see our TMP, which is a Transportation Management Plan. You'll also see Driveline. If you click on that Driveline page, it has everything that I'm doing in this presentation as well, but it also has a Pick My Kid page where that has tutorials, and it also has support and help functions for you, okay? So now we're gonna, again, we are gonna approach the campus the exact same way. You are not going to make a left from Barron's. You're gonna approach everything from the south. Okay, we will, again, you're going to form 3 lines as you enter. The outer 2 lanes will merge again into 1 lane as it rounds that back corner. Okay, once you have gotten into the parking lot and you're at a safe, you've come to a stop, you will open up that app. And when you follow all the instructions, it'll show you that you'll have a green button that says announce. Okay, it's really important that you have the app set up, all your delegations set up, and that prior to coming into the parking lot. One of the things, as I have a slide later on that outlines things that delay and slow down Driveline, are if you show up that day and your Pick My Kid doesn't work. Okay, so there on that Pick My Kid page, again, there's ways in which we can help you. Please reach out in advance to do that. Okay, a Driveline attendant will come through with an iPad. They are going to be putting the cars in order. Okay, that then signals inside to the classroom to the teacher, who has the same app displayed on a screen. And as soon as it dings that the car has entered the pickup zone, they send the students down to the car. Okay, they do have a waiting line in the app so they can see who's in the next set of 24 cars. And what they do then is they get the students ready to then say, hey, grab your backpack, grab your lunchbox, your jacket, everything, and get ready to go. Because as soon as you see your car go into the next set of 24, you will head down to the car. Okay, so please pay attention to the Driveline attendants. 99% of the time, this is the process that we follow. In the event that there is some sort of either something or short Driveline attendance, or we have to make a quick adjustment, it's really important that you pay attention to what the Driveline attendants are asking you to do, and to please be flexible. In very rare occasions have we had to make deviations, but it's really helpful to just be patient, kind, and flexible with the Driveline attendants, okay? The loading area is in front of the elementary school building. Again, please keep that in mind. We won't load around the corner, okay? And again, your exit out of the parking lot is the same way. It's either a left or it's a right based on the lane that you're in. So the Pick My Kid app, we are using this only for elementary. So I want to point out, if you have an elementary and a secondary student, you will only see your elementary student inside Pick My Kid, okay? Because at 2:55, your secondary student's going to come over anyways and meet their student at their stone, okay? You'll still use the app to let us know that you're there, okay? But you'll only see your elementary student, okay? You'll see inside the app that you have the ability to change how the pickup mode is, and I'm not going to delve too far into the app for right now. I would like for you to please check out that page on our website that walks you through it. I would say it's about 85% intuitive. The app is fairly decent. There are some things that sometimes I probably, if I would have been able to recommend where to put things, I might have put them in a different area, but for the most part, it is fairly user-friendly, okay? At 2 o'clock, that's when the cutoff time is for you to make changes in how the student's going to be picked up, okay? There is a reason for that. Please make sure that you're checking that. If there is some sort of an emergency between 2 and 2:15, we ask that you please call the front office. That way the front office can override, and that's the elementary school front office. That way they can override whatever your delegation is. It really slows down the process if you're in Driveline and we're trying to find your kiddo in the West Driveline, but you are then set up to be picked up as a walker, okay? Because that puts them into a different pickup line. Okay. And again, setting up your delegations in advance is really, really important. Okay. Again, these are just some of the things that slows down Driveline. So at the beginning of the year, we always go through this. Driveline can be stressful. That's why one of the reasons why we're doing this information session is to try and get everybody on the same page, and to give the opportunity to ask these questions early. But please take into account, these are all of the things that we hear from parents throughout those first kind of month of school, once they get used to it, that we do want to make sure that we point out weather impacts Driveline, technology and Wi-Fi not working. Let's say the iPad crashes, that impacts it. You know, we do have reserve resources that we utilize, but just know, like, we have to have everything really timed out in order to move kids out the door and to abide by teacher contracts. So we really, really need everybody to work together. And that's on our end as well. If we don't have volunteers to help us, then that means that we're pulling from inside the classroom. So just know that we do everything that we possibly can in order to make sure that Driveline runs smoothly. But there are some things that we do ask our parents to be aware of to kind of help out that process too. Okay. Don'ts. Again, don't park in the neighborhood across the street if you are doing so illegally. So I put a picture there. This picture shows what it looks like from one of the driveways, which is an alley driveway. Okay, and that is where each one of the homes has a garage door that empties out into an alley where they have an exit on either end. Okay, that car is parked illegally. It is blocking the driveway. Please, please, please do not do that. Their HOA pretty much has me on speed dial, and anytime somebody parks in front of there, I get a phone call. Okay, and immediately what I do, I call our SRO. He goes over and he tickets. Okay, so please, please, please don't make me make that phone call to the SRO, because I really don't want to have parents getting a ticket. Okay, please don't park in that alley. And then if you do park across the street, remember to use those crosswalks at Barron's and Blue Point. Again, no stopping on Barron's to drop off or pick up your student. Please don't be on your phone, and please don't speed. Okay. West Driveline dues, please use the app. follow all instructions from the SRO, the security manager, driveline attendants, display your placards. And if you have any questions, I am so happy to help anybody, as well as the people in our front office. They're really happy to help people, but please just give us the opportunity to help you in advance of showing up in Driveline. That is not helpful because you might come, you might be trying to ask that question of the Driveline attendant, and they might only be trained to add people in order. Okay, they might not be able to answer your question. Okay, now I'm going to touch on East Driveline. So again, if you had any questions on what I had just covered so far, please just put it in that chat box. I will go through them at the end. Okay, so East Driveline in the morning. So this is for our secondary kiddos. This is if you only have a student in grades 6 through 12 that you are driving, please pay attention to these slides. Okay, Driveline opens at 7:30. So students arriving after 7:50, they will need to sign in at the front desk. Okay, the bell rings at 7:50. Okay, so please make sure you cover that with your students. And if they are new to STEM, they will also cover this during Spartan launch, which is next Monday. Okay, information about that is on our website as well as in the newsletter that was sent to you. Okay, so accessing our secondary Driveline. Okay, so everything is going to happen on the east side of our campus. So if you are, I will recommend the easiest way, but just be prepared. Okay, if you are coming from, now I come all the way up from Brighton. Okay, so when I come in the morning to STEM during the school year and I take 470, I do not get off at Broadway. I go to Lucent. Okay, I would highly recommend going to Lucent and then getting onto Plaza and taking Plaza down and making a right onto Ridgeline. If you cut off at Broadway and take Plaza and you are trying to make that left-hand turn onto Ridgeline, you will wait. And you can do that. You can, it's your preference, but just know you will wait because a lot of folks are accessing that Ridgeline from the west on Plaza, and it flows just so much easier. So that would be my tip. If you are trying to access secondary Driveline from the south, do not go north on Ridgeline. You will not be able to make a left inside that parking lot. Okay, so if you're coming up from the south, again, I would recommend going to the west side of our campus, going north on Barron's or north on Lucent, make that right onto Plaza if you're coming from Lucent, or make that right onto Blue Point if you're coming up on Barron's, okay? And then you can access the secondary Driveline from the north, okay? Only staff on that side will be able to make that left-hand turn in the parking lot. But again, those are the staff members that might be running a couple minutes behind, and that's the only reason why we allow for them to make that left. Okay, once you enter Driveline, again, please stay in your lanes. Do not change lanes. We have accidents on that side as well. Pull forward as far as you can to allow more cars to stack behind you. The left 2 lanes, as you can see on the graphic on the right, those are in yellow, and those are our normal, just regular Driveline lanes. That green lane on the right-hand side is only for carpool drivers, and you have to have a designated sticker for that. I will cover that in a later slide. Or our high school drivers that have a high school parking pass. Okay, so please keep that in mind. Do not get in that right-hand lane and try and access the regular drop-off area, because as you come around that corner, you won't have enough room to do that. Okay, and our Driveline attendants will instruct you how to do that later on. We do have a security manager. If it becomes a repeated habit, he does take down license plates and he reports it to the SRO. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Please, so now we're going to talk about the drop-off area, and that is where I have these red arrows. So this is only where the drop-off area is. So as you can see in both bends, that is not the drop-off area. Okay, those 2 yellow lanes in front of the school and then that 1 green lane, that is the only area where we do drop off. Okay, so everybody else, if you're farther back in what we call the snake, you will keep your kiddos in the car until you enter into that drop off zone. Okay, as you after you have unloaded, please pay attention to the Driveline attendants. They have it very timed out as to which lane they release first. You will exit the parking lot going toward Ridgeline. You will only be able to make a right. Okay, toward the end of Driveline, once elementary school Driveline closes at 7:45, they will allow that kind of left lane in the drop-off zone to make a left and go around the school. But again, the Driveline attendant will instruct you when that is, when that opportunity is open to you. Otherwise, you will make a right coming out of the drop-off zone to head to Ridgeline, and you will, both lanes will merge into one, and you will exit the parking lot making a right. Okay, please pay attention. You cannot make a left out of that parking lot. Okay, now, as you can imagine, it's kind of like a spoken wheel pattern, like we're all working together. So we ask that the families that are trying to access the Driveline as they're coming around Ridgeline, that they allow the cars to come out of Driveline, because that's what helps Driveline to keep moving. So what would be really nice is everybody kind of took turns to get through Driveline. So again, high school drivers will use that outer lane. They park in this big parking lot area. Staff parking is in the snake area around the edge. Middle school crosswalk, we do have an attendant that is in the middle of Driveline. You'll see kind of in that curved area, there is a crosswalk on that picture. Please be cognizant of that. We do have an attendant there, but that's where middle schoolers or secondary students, I should say, are allowed to cross when they're inside the parking lot. Okay. Now we're going to get into pickup times. Okay, we have a pink placard and a blue placard. I shared that information in the newsletter that went out on Friday. You do have to sign up because we only have our parking lot has a capacity of how much it can hold. So what we do is we split our secondary families into two groups. We also strongly encourage carpools to access that carpool lane. So the sign up was in the newsletter, please, and it's also on our website. So please make sure that you sign up for either pink or blue. Okay, and then those will be available next week, toward the end of this week during that placard pickup time. Carpool placards will have a special sticker on it that indicates to the Driveline attendants that you're allowed to be in that lane. It's really, really important that you please do not enter prior to your pickup time. Okay, so if you have two cars and you know that you're going to be able to pick them up at 2:55, sign up for that window. If your significant other or if there's another family member that you know will be coming at 3:10, sign up for that blue kind of placard as well. That way we give you both, and that way that person can also access that second group. Okay, we just can't give you two of the same time frame, okay, because in the event that both of you guys show up at the same time, that would be a little bit of a challenge. Okay, so afternoon, you'll follow the same process as the morning on how you approach our campus, on how you access the parking lot. Please be cognizant of that there could be staff inside that parking lot when you pull in. Again, it's 5 miles an hour once you are in the parking lot. Pull forward as far as you can. You'll see this kind of blue area in this diagram over here. And this is what we're now going to touch on, which is our overflow. So our Driveline attendants will stack you in these lanes in the afternoon when we have all of the cars showing up at the same time, okay? Because we can't allow for stacking on Ridgeline. So when they stack you in those lanes, just please pay attention to the attendants. They will then direct you when it's your time to then enter into those yellow lanes, okay? Now, if you are a carpool, we won't stack you in this lane because most of the time carpool, that lane is open and we stack you in a different spot, okay? Stop and wait pickup is only in that pickup area. Again, as you saw where that drop-off area is, we can fit about 24 to 26 cars in that particular area. So that is our pickup zone. You won't pick up any kids in that kind of snake area, okay? Once loaded, again, pay attention to the Driveline attendants. They will let you out because at the same time, they are also letting out those who are in the carpool lane. They're also letting out those high school students. They're also letting out those staff members, okay? So please pay attention to those Driveline attendants. You will exit the parking lot the same way you did in the morning, which is everybody goes to the right, they merge into one lane, they exit the parking lot toward the right. There is no left turn, okay? Bikers and walkers, they'll be dismissed at the same time as everybody, and they will please use the designated crosswalks. High school drivers, please be cognizant of them. They will exit out of their designated parking spaces, and they will feed into our secondary drive line after kids have already been picked up. Okay, so it's as you're exiting the parking lot or heading toward the exit, that's where our high school drivers will merge with you. Okay, Driveline Don'ts. Please don't park in the business area again. It's not okay. They will ticket and they will tow. And that also violates our transportation management plan. Please do not stop on Ridgeline to drop off or pick up your student. Don't be on your phone, and please don't speed. We had a really bad accident last year. A kid on a scooter got hit by a car, went up over the car, had to be transported to the hospital. It was really scary. It was caught on a dash cam. And so it's not something that I would, I wouldn't want anyone to not only see that, but also go through it. So please, please, please be paying attention. Driveline dues, please follow all instructions from our SRO, our security manager, driveline attendants. We'll all be kind of outfitted with vests. So please pay attention to them. Remember to display that colored placard. It'll have the time indicated on it, because that's really helpful for us to be able to let us know that you're supposed to be in the parking lot at that particular time. And please ask any questions prior to entering Driveline. Again, our Driveline attendants might not know all the rules and regulations and might not be able to answer your question. And so we want to make sure that we can help you in advance of just coming to school. We don't want you to be frustrated, but we might not be able to answer your question because, again, we're trying to hit a very specific timetable. Okay, so East Driveline, again, I have those pink and blue placards. There's the sign up here. But again, I said it's on the website. It's also in the newsletter. If you need to request a placard mid-year, you'll just email that support email, just like how you did for elementary school. And then we will get that placard to your student, or we will notify you where you can pick that up. Please make sure you have that displayed during the afternoon dismissal process. You don't need the placard for morning drop off. Okay, now the secondary carpool program. To access that express lane, you need to be part of that program. That means that you need to sign up for it, okay? We've partnered with Way to Go, and this is to help families find carpool groups. Some families have already established their carpool groups. We still recommend that you register through Way to Go, and one of the reasons being is it's a state-run program, and we do get some really helpful resources when they know that our families are utilizing it. It doesn't mean that when you register that you need to open it up for everybody. Just have all the families involved register, you connect through Way to Go, and it's super helpful for us because then you land on our carpool list, and then we know that that you're a part of it and that you get that carpool placard. Okay, so usually the little sign up link for Way to Go is in IC. They are adding that back in. It used to be on the transportation tab. I believe it's on a forms tab. I don't know what that looks like for the parents yet. So I've placed the secure link in this presentation. I will also include that in the newsletter that I send out. And this is the link for all of our families to use to be able to access other families from our school. It's actually a really good tool. When I used to work for Denver Public Schools Transportation, we utilize this program a lot to help our families. So it provides, once you're registered, it gives you a map. You can see all of the families that are around you that go to STEM, and if they're looking for a carpool or if they have a carpool that has an open seat. So we strongly encourage that. So once you've registered, your next step is to sign up for a placard, and you do that through the next form that's listed here. Okay, here's a video. I'm not going to play it, but it's going to be on our website, and it will be in the presentation that you can access for Way to Go. So let me just click through here real quick. And now we're at the point to where we're going to go to questions. So I'm going to get back to my screen, stop sharing, and I'm going to go quickly through this chat box and see if I can hit some of these questions. Let's see. What's the protocol for kids safety in light of the increase of school shootings, are visitors from outside allowed in the school at any time? Are there guards, and are they armed? Are the doors locked? So we do touch this later on this week, but I'll kind of try and touch this as quickly as possible. We have all of our entire building is secured on the outside. In order to get in, you either need to be buzzed in as a visitor, which means there's a camera outside with the microphone, and you will push that. That goes to our front office. They will figure out why you're here. They will approve you to come in, and then you have to go through a second set of secure doors that will then lead you into our lobbies. And then from there, you work with the front office. They will determine what the need is that you have. Most of the time, if you're our volunteer, you have already signed up in advance and we know you're coming. If you're a guest speaker, we know in advance that you're coming. And we background check everybody who then goes past the third set of doors, which actually gets you into our building. We do have a security, I believe he's a security specialist on our campus. He is not armed, okay? The only person that is armed on our campus is our SRO. His name is Deputy Gabe Uribe. He's from the Douglas County Sheriff's Office. And he's the only one that's permitted on campus to be armed. And he is full-time on our campus, okay? Raptor is the name of the background check system that we utilize. And we do that for any visitor that comes in to the building. Okay. Will there be kindergartners lining up now that the sand pit is gone? So we will still have students lining up outside. I am not sure if the kindergartners will be lining up inside the cafeteria in the morning or not. So we'll have more details. Kindergarten will know that as they go through Spartan launch. And those dates start on the 9th and the 10th and the 11th. So if you haven't already signed up for Spartan launch for your kindergarten parent, please see that information that was shared in the newsletter. Okay, grades 1st through 5, there are class stones that are outside the elementary school building, and your students will line up on those stones in the morning, and then in the afternoon, starting at 2:55, any remaining students that have not been picked up yet, they go to their class stone. Okay. Okay. You'll see the elementary school entrance. I'm sorry that my mouse wasn't showing up. Sometimes I can't see where I'm pointing when I do a zoom, but when you pull into the elementary school drive line, you'll see where the elementary school entrance is. It's got a big sign over the top that says elementary school entrance, and it's got a blue pole. We just had our building repainted and it looks great. Okay. Let's see, would you please add this instructional videos and materials. I kind of said it. I'll add that link toward the end. That way I'm not taking up more time. But again, stemk12.org, top right-hand corner, click on parents. You'll see 3 boxes. You'll want to click on the one that says get informed. And then you'll want to be on that particular page that has everything that you could, attendance, health room, yearbook stuff. Some of it is still from last year because some of those items are run by staff that have not officially started their contracts yet. Okay. Let's see. The PowerPoint will be shared later on today, along with this video on the website and in the newsletter on Friday. Let's see, multiple placard. Can we get multiple placards? Yes, you can. Now we do need, if you haven't done express check-in, it's totally okay. You will have the opportunity to continue to do that. It's really important that you update your emergency contacts that are in there. And any other people that you would want to have pick up your student. Okay, if the person that you delegated and Pick My Kid comes to school to pick up your kiddo, and they are not using Pick My Kid, we won't release them right away. We will make that car pull over to the side because that's what takes up time. I don't know. Somebody could have pre-printed that placard and shown up and said, I'm here to pick up Susie. If you're not using the app, I don't know that you're the right person that's supposed to pick them up. So now I need to verify with the front office, which means I need to pull you off to the side. I need a radio to the inside to say, hey, can somebody double check this person and make sure this is an approved person to release this student to? Okay, so we have multiple checks throughout the process, but it's really important that whoever you send to pick up your kids, that they are using the app, because that's the fastest way for us to be able to release your kiddos. Okay. Let's see. Thank you for those of you who were answering those for me in the chat box. Again, sorry, I actually didn't answer this. Multiple placards. As you are coming to pick up your placards toward Wednesday and Thursday in those designated times, we will print on demand any extra placards that you need. But again, what we're asking for you to also do is make sure that these extra folks are listed in your emergency contacts, that they're also loaded as delegates inside your Pick My Kid. Just because they have a placard does not mean that they're able to pick up your kiddo. Okay. Let's see. Placard pickup is going to be this Wednesday and Thursday. Please either take a look at the newsletter or take a look at the calendar. Those dates are updated on there. It's all going to be done through the elementary school lobby. We'll have, just like how we did last year, if you guys are, anybody's returning, we'll print on demand, and that's for elementary and secondary placards as well. So if you could, if you're doing secondary carpool and you need that placard, just make sure you have everything filled out in advance in order to get those placards. Okay. So this is a great question about you're picking up a student early for a doctor's appointment. The reason why we ask for nobody to be inside that parking, one of the other reasons why we ask for nobody to be inside that parking lot before 2:15 is because we allow families to pick up students up until about 2:05, 2:10, okay? We will not allow any early pickups after that time frame because then Driveline starts. Okay, so ideally what we recommend is 2 o'clock is the cutoff. It makes it easy for you. It also allows for that additional kind of that 10-minute, 15-minute buffer for your kiddo to finish what they're doing in the classroom, pack up their belongings, get down to the car, and get out of the parking lot before we start letting cars in. Okay, we will not necessarily move cars out of the way in order for you to get a fast exit out of the parking lot. It's just too tight. We won't be able to do that. Okay, so we try and stress to parents that if you're picking up your kiddos early, that the latest that you arrive is 2 o'clock for that checkout. Okay, you would park, you would go into the elementary school front office, and then you would sign them out that way. For secondary, the Driveline opens around 2:30. So again, we do that cutoff around 2:15. Okay. I wouldn't recommend anybody getting stuck in Driveline. It is not, if your intent was to try and get out early, please try and abide by that, or else you're going to sit for a little bit. Okay. So on average, how many minutes do cars spend in the Driveline? It's really dependent. A lot of families say that, oh, I've been in Driveline for 45 minutes. Now we do have families that show up as on the elementary side that show up as early as 1:45 and they park along the street on Barron's. I want to stress, I can't actively police that. I'm not certified to be able to tell cars to move. The sheriff's office is. You're on an active roadway, and if you're parking on an active roadway where there are signs that say no stopping, you will get a ticket. Okay, and we do have families that factor in that time frame where they're parked on the side of the road. They factor that into the total amount of time that they're sitting in Driveline. That's up to you. If you want to arrive at 1:45, you're taking that risk of getting a parking ticket. You're taking that risk of, waiting that long. When people show up on time, Driveline does flow, but all it takes is for a handful of cars to park on the street, and then everybody does it. So that is not something that I am legally allowed to police. Okay, so I would say if you're coming for that first window, so that K-1, probably the max that you could be sitting in Driveline, if everything were to run efficiently, 15 minutes. And that could be if you're at the tail end of that. Now, it could be less than that, depending on how fast everything runs. What really helps us out is when we have volunteers. So that's later on this week where we'll hit that volunteering presentation. So if you have the ability to volunteer, we really could use that on Driveline. And your commitment would probably be somewhere around 45 minutes, maybe an hour. But sometimes it's not even that long. So there is a mention last year that somebody had their secondary kiddo grab their elementary kid without using the app, as they sometimes go to the STEM center. And I was not obviously in the area with the school. Has anything changed with that process? Not particularly. It is helpful for us to know, especially on the elementary side. We need to know where your kiddo is going. So if it's before 2:55 that you want your student to walk off campus, okay, from 3rd grade through 5th grade, and they don't have a secondary sibling, if you are comfortable with that, we have a form that you can fill out, and we will release your kiddo at 2:30. That's also on our website, okay? If you have a secondary kiddo, they can come over and pick up your kiddo from their stone at 2:55 and walk off campus, okay? If they want to walk over to the STEM center, they can do that starting at 2:55, okay? Let's see, last year, and I saw that one. Do we need to use Pick My Kid for secondary students? Nope. If you're just picking up anyone from 6 through 12, you don't need to use the app. Thank you for answering that. Let's see. There was a question about parking fees. Please be patient. We had an issue at the end of last school year where the district took away permissions for the staff member that uploads fees into My School Bucks, because they manage that. And so she's been working kind of around the clock to try and get her access back in order to load that. So there's only a partial upload for student parking fees. There's a full upload for locker room fees. So if anybody signed up for a locker, you should see that. But student fees, she's working on trying to get those loaded. As soon as I know that those fees are loaded, I will send out a message, but you should also receive an email from My School Bucks that an invoice is there for you to pay. Okay. That is only if your information is correct in My School Bucks. If you have an incorrect email address or phone number, you won't receive that email that you have an invoice, okay? Next question, is Carpool only for East Driveline or also for West Driveline Elementary? So in the past, we have had an elementary carpool. We still strongly encourage you to do that through Way to Go to set up your carpool, but you will not get a specific carpool tag on the elementary side because of Pick My Kid. Okay, on the secondary side, you will get a special tag. Okay, so in Pick My Kid, what you would then do, you again sign up through Way to Go, you find your family, set up your carpool, and then in Pick My Kid is where you'll then delegate who's picking up your kiddo on what particular day. We have several families that do that, and it works great for them. In the transportation management plan, you will see a lane that is designated for carpool. That was prior to our use of Pick My Kid. We still keep that there in the event that something goes wrong with Pick My Kid and we have to pivot, okay? So just know that that's the reason why that's there. Okay, do we meet all walkers by the elementary school playground entrance? I have both elementary and secondary students. For elementary, yes, please pick up your kiddos on the east side by the elementary school playground at that particular exit. And then if you have a secondary student that you're also picking up as a walker, you can do both of those. They can both meet at that particular back door when the secondary student comes out. The reason why I would recommend that would be because I don't know if you've been at our entrance before when secondary students dismiss, but it's like floodgates opening up. So I don't particularly like big crowds. So I like to be a little bit away from the crowd and let them come to me when I pick up kids. So that is an option for you. If your significant other is picking up your kiddo on the elementary side, they do have to use Pick My Kid so we preload everything. So there is a primary and a secondary. We pull that from IC. So if you have a third or fourth person that's coming, you will then need to add them as a delegate, and then you need to assign them for that particular day. That Pick My Kid app will page on our website will walk you through how to do that. Okay. I can speak. There's a question about conflicting information, and I'm happy to stay on after this to get that clarified. Let's see. So Way to Go does apply to both drive lines. The only difference would be on the secondary side, we're asking you to actually sign up for that carpool placard. That way you can utilize that outside lane. that right lane, okay? On the elementary side, signing up for Way to Go helps to connect you with other families so that you can set up your carpool and then do it through Way to Go, okay? And then to get that, so let's say this is a great thing that I forgot to mention. If you're doing a carpool and you need the placard that shows the other person while you're there, it's helpful that you signed up through Way to Go, because then when you come to come to pick up your placards, we can on demand print those additional placards for the other students in your carpool. Okay, that way you can display those tags as well. Okay. If kids arrive before 7:30, where will they go until they enter the classroom? So for secondary students, if they arrive before, for secondary students that are coming with elementary school students, they will go into our before school care, and that's in the middle school cafeteria. If they are secondary students only coming to school before 7:30, they will also go to that before school care. They just have to walk around the building to access the middle school cafeteria. So find out the information on our enrichment page. It outlines before and after school care, and then who to contact for that. Okay, what time are the doors open for students on the east side? That would be secondary. Doors start opening around, I believe, 7:40. They can start filtering into the lobby, and then we start opening the third set of inner doors. Okay. Express check-in. So I appreciate everybody who's being patient with Express check-in. It is run completely by the school district, so there aren't a whole lot of questions that we can answer in regards to Express check-in. It is my understanding that it is working. It just might take some time to get through it. I've heard it timing out for some families and it working for others very easily. Just be patient with it. Some things when it comes to the information that you're seeing inside. So let's say you're not seeing your student, or if you need that GUID number, please use that help form that you can find on the Express check-in post on our website. Okay, and then we'll get you those GUID numbers. We have a new registrar who started last week. She is assisting with Express check-in as far as getting the information into the system for all of the student families that have newly enrolled. We just ask you please be patient. Not completing Express check-in will not prevent your student from coming to school on the first day of school. It will slow down getting if, let's say, for instance, you needed to update your contact information and we're sending out school messenger messages or text messages, let's say your phone number changed, that would be really for right now the only big impact. Okay. We will reach out to families who have not completed certain forms through Express check-in to make sure that you are completing those forms as we get into the school year. Elementary and high school schedules, you'll start to see those this week. I believe they're going to release them either tomorrow or Wednesday. So I would just keep checking back to see when those are updated. And please, there might be some slight changes. So we still have new staff that we're onboarding. So you might, the teacher might shift. It might be a placeholder teacher for now. Once that new teacher gets onboarded and imported into Infinite Campus, that teacher might change. We don't foresee there being huge shifts on the back end, but you might see minor ones. And then the schedule change form for secondary, that opens up tomorrow. Okay, let's see. Any families? Okay, that was a question about carpool and setting and saying that they're available. Do you need a placard for a kid in my carpool pickup? I think I kind of answered that. It would be helpful. So on the elementary side, the placards look different. On the elementary side, the placards all have the student names on them. On the secondary side, it is literally just a color and it has a time frame and some instructions on it. We don't need to see who your kiddo is on the secondary side. You're picking, they're a little bit more self-sufficient. They're getting in the appropriate car and exiting campus. The elementary side, we do put them in the car or get them close to your car. We visually see you, we check them off and dismiss them from the app. So on the elementary side, we can print the names of the kiddos in your carpool if you've signed up through Way to Go, and we can verify that. Okay. You don't add any kids to Pick My Kid. They are automatically added. Okay, we automatically import from Infinite Campus, and they will start to populate in your Pick My Kid when you follow all the instructions on how to set that up. Okay, again, if you're not seeing your kiddo in Pick My Kid on that Pick My Kid page, please fill out that help form. That way we can take a look at your account and see what needs to be updated. Again, there's one question about the son was added to Pick My Kid, but the daughter wasn't. That would really depend on the grade level. So if it's a secondary student, you wouldn't see them in Pick My Kid. If they are 2 elementary school students, please submit that help form, and that way we can go ahead and take a look at it. First grade. So the pickup for enrichment, in Pick My Kid, you have the ability to say, I want my kiddo to go to, let me start over. For students who are taking part in enrichment, our enrichment coordinator will go into Pick My Kid and put your student's default pickup for that day as after school program. That then tells the teacher inside the classroom that your student is going to an after school club. You can override that designation. So let's say your kiddo was supposed to go to ballet that day, but you need to pick them up for a doctor's appointment, and you need to pick them up in the West Driveline. Just go in before 2 o'clock and Pick My Kid and change that pickup mode. Okay, that way when you get into the Driveline, and you announce, we can see your kiddo in there. Okay. Picking them up when enrichment ends, you'll pull in and your students into a parking space, and you can come up to the doors, or most of the time your kiddos, the advisor for the club will come out and stand with the students and get them into their car. When they dismiss around 3:30, that's Driveline should be done, have already been done by about 20 minutes. So you shouldn't really have any type of congestion. There's plenty of parking for you to pull in and get your kiddo. Is there a designated pickup area if there's an emergency or lockdown at the school? So in the event that we have an incident, anything like how we had before, to where there needs to be an evacuation of the building, we do have safe sites. Those will be communicated to the parents through school messenger, through a text message. We don't announce those in advance, and that is a security measure that was shared by the Department of Homeland Security, that we don't share out where our safe pickup locations are, because those safe pickup locations could become secondary sites for incidences as well. So in the event that something were to happen where we would have to remove students from campus for an alternate pickup location, that information would be communicated out to families on where to do that. A reunification site is what it's called. Okay. Let's see. We already covered fees. Where do elementary students go if they arrive before 7:30? Elementary students that come before 7:30 will go to their class stones that are outside. They will wait in line, and then teachers will come grab them and take them inside the building. Staff page will be updated throughout this week as we go through teacher onboarding. Please email communications@stemk12.org with how your student needs assistance. That way I can potentially help them get them to the right person. Okay. For middle school, since there is no school supplies list, should we get anything before school starts, or will the teachers say what they need to get once school starts? So this week, you'll start to see that teachers, and more so toward the middle end of this week, teachers will start to populate their Canvas courses for secondary students. And then you'll be able to go in and see what the supplies are that your kiddos will need. So you should know by the end of this week, latest, depending on how busy the teacher is, latest by Monday. Okay. Since we are a technology school and we do encourage our students to, or most everything is done via laptop, just make sure to check out that technology page on our website that has the laptop requirements that we recommend. Okay. How do secondary kids find their parents' car in the pickup area? So we have a sidewalk that goes along the side of the pickup area, and the students stand there and they have all eyes on the Driveline. You will hear that as you go through Driveline, where we say eyes on the Driveline, where they are looking for their parents' car. They can also see their parents' car in the snake as it loops around. They just can't load in that particular area. So they should all be paying attention, loading their car, and then once cars are loaded, we move them. So really, it's very much of kids need to be paying attention. So maybe a conversation with you and your kiddo, if you want Driveline to go faster, to say, hey, I know you really want to hang out with your friends after school. If you really want to do that, I'll come pick you up at 3:10. I'm not going to come pick you up at 2:55 because you're not paying attention, right? So that's totally fine. My personal recommendation, sign up for the 3:05 to 3:15. Driveline flies at that particular point. It's really cruising through the parking lot, and by cruising I mean it's moving slowly, but you're moving, because the kids at that point, all the 2:55 kids and in that time frame have already been picked up, so it's less stressful. Now, as I have gotten through all of the questions that are here, and before I open it up to those who want to stay and ask more questions, I just want to say that please allow for patience. We had a little over 100 people on this call. We have close to 1,700 students, families. And so, I was only hitting a certain percentage of the population with this presentation, and not everybody will be watching this presentation. So it will take time for everybody to get on the same page. It would be my dream if we showed up on the first day of school and everything flowed absolutely perfectly. But I will tell you right now, it will not. So please be patient. It will probably take 2 to 3 weeks before everybody's in the right groove and really understanding. And the reason being is because we do have kids that come from that, either they're part of a carpool, so you have different people picking up on different days, multiple, they have multiple households. So, everybody's learning what Driveline is over the first 2 weeks, because at any given point in time, somebody's coming through it for the first time in those 2 weeks doing pickup. I myself have a blended family, so I know, like for me, I would have been coming that second week and doing Driveline, so I would have missed that whole first week of pickup. So just keep that in mind as you're going through it. It will take time for everybody to get used to it. So with that, there was one more question. We will take donations for reflector vests. Thank you so much. Please drop them off at the secondary front office. What do secondary kids do before 3:05? They wait outside. Now, I will say the presentation that we do on Friday talks about athletics for high school students, and then it talks about enrichment for K through 5 students. So I highly recommend that you take part in that or watch the video afterward, because the students that are there after 3:15, once we really get Driveline up and going, they need to be either in a club or they need to be in after school care. They cannot be hanging out outside this the school once Driveline ends for elementary and secondary. You will get, it's in the parent handbook, there is a fee for any student that is sitting there waiting, and that fee is so that we can pay for the school attendant that needs to be there to sit with that student. Everybody operates on STEM, everybody's employed on a contract. And so we really have to abide by what those contracted hours are to be respectful to all of our employees. There's a question about crossing guards. If we have enough volunteers to help us, our aides are trained to be crossing guards. However, if we don't have enough volunteers, we can't pull them to be at the crosswalks. So it's really important for our families, if they can volunteer for every little bit helps. If everybody could do 1 hour a week, we could be fully staffed. And if you did it like once every other month or once a month, it would be huge. There is a requirement for volunteer hours for all families. And that's in another presentation that I'll do later on this week. And that is our Getting Involved presentation. So again, that's all the questions in the chat box. If anybody wants to unmute and ask a question, feel free to do so.
What time does kindergarten start? Because we have it set for the 15th at 7:40, but on the
Yes.
website it says bell times are 7:30.
Yes, so on that, we kind of ease kindergarten in. So they'll go through Spartan launch this week, next week. And then their first day of school, they won't necessarily start at the exact same time, because that's gonna be where it's that, they're gonna have separation anxiety. Some kids will, cry, and we allow for that time, where it's just parents with their kindergarten, kiddos, and allowing for that separation to happen to where it's not around the students that are 1st through 5th grade. We have had students in the past have a really hard time with that separation. And it has in the past created some stress and anxiety for other kiddos when they hear or when they see the kindergarten students crying. And so what we did was we're easing in that first day of school for kindergarten on that first day that you mentioned. And then the day after, they'll start at the same exact time as everybody else.
Okay, and that'll be the 7:30.
Yes. Yep.
Thank you.
Our kindergarten and first grader are gonna have an orientation day.
So Spartan launch is what is our orientation. Okay, so take a look at either our website or in the newsletter. It breaks out the differences between kindergarten Spartan launch. There is a sign up for that. And then it breaks out 1st through 5th grade Spartan launch, what that is, and when your designated time is to come to school. Okay.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Deepak. This question might be repeating, but again, let me ask. Do you have meet and greet program? I think I might have missed, but do you have any program for kindergarten and 5th grader?
So what do you mean by a program?
Like a meet and greet, I want to know the teacher name and the school supply list. That's
gotcha.
typical.
Excuse me. So the back to school nights will be the 2nd week of school, and for elementaries will be the 18th. Okay, in the evening, and that will be your opportunity to come with your kiddo to school. If you want to bring your kiddo, they can show you their classroom, you can meet the teacher, you can, they can give you a tour, show you where they hang up their backpacks, like all that stuff.
Okay, so
For
but
elementary, that's the 18th.
Got it. So, but we will not come to know the teacher name until that program, right? Or like
No, you should be able to start seeing the teacher's name this week in Infinite Campus.
Okay, lot of technology stuff. Sorry,
No,
I'm
I know.
trying to get
it-
all the apps and everything.
Yep.
Sorry.
It's daunting at the beginning of the school year. Just know you're not in it alone, but we are here to help you. Just give us some time. It's never, it's interesting being in education with everybody being on a contract. We all start at specific days. And so sometimes it's bear with us a little bit, because that first day back for certain folks who have those particular roles where they help families, they kind of have to get in, and then they have to go through if anything's changed, has their access changed, it can be a little daunting, but just know there are people here to help you. Just give them some time to get through it, and they will answer all your emails. Ideally for right now, because we do have some new folks in new positions, either they're brand new to STEM, and these are staff members I'm talking about, or they are new to their role. The easiest thing is to just email communications right now, or fill out that feedback form, and we will get you to the right person. Okay.
Sure, thank you.
Let's see. Should parents come with kids for the Spartan launch? Spartan launch is just for kids. So obviously you need to bring them. So part of your answer is correct. So I would say, yes, please come with them to drop them off. But you will not be staying. Spartan launch is going to be just for the kids. And then what I can do when we're all done for anybody who needs, I see there were 2 folks that wanted to talk to me privately. If you could just email me communications at STEM, I'll put it in the chat box right now to everybody. We can set up a separate Zoom. I'm trying to meet everybody in the meeting. That way you can see that. We can set up a separate Zoom after this. I'm here for you all day today. Okay, so just shoot me a note and then I'll hop on that separate Zoom with you to answer any additional question that you have. Okay, please don't, if I can answer it here and if it's okay for me to answer it here, please let me do so. All right, what other questions can I answer?
Can you tell us where to pick up the placards for kindergarten one more time? I'm sorry, I missed that.
That's okay. Elementary school entrance. So that's going to be all K through 12 placards. Pickup is Wednesday and Thursday, but we have them at designated times and I don't have it off the top of my head. So please take a look at either newsletter or the calendar because those times are listed there and you'll come to the elementary school entrance to do that.
Hi, Nicole.
Hello.
I have for Spartan launch. So even the elementary kids need to be left alone and we are not staying with them.
Correct.
So we drop them to the elementary building gate.
You'll pull up. So Spartan launch will be for 1st through 12th grade will be on the 8th. And please make sure that you take a look at that time frame because they're at elementaries at a designated time frame and secondaries at a designated time frame. And even in elementary, the grades are split up. So just make sure that you drop them off at the correct time. You'll enter through in the normal way that we would do Driveline. So it's actually a great practice for you to come to campus, know how you're going to access campus, how to enter in our Driveline. It'd be a great opportunity to practice only making that right-hand turn into the parking lot. Or if you want to be a rebel, that's your one and only time to make a left into the parking lot. So you'll drop them off for elementary at that designated time frame, and then it'll also tell you when to pick them up.
Okay, and there will be somebody to supervise them and guide them to the classroom.
Yes, the teachers are here, so they're going to practice what it's going to be like on the first day of school. When they exit the car, go to their class stone, their teacher's going to pick them up, take them inside the building, show them the classroom. So this is their like orientation. Now this is for new to STEM students. Okay, so in elementary, you're brand new to STEM, and in secondary, it's new to STEM students and new to STEM secondary. So if you had a 5th grader that's coming to us for 6th grade and they want to take part, we strongly encourage them to take part in Spartan launch so that they understand everything that there is to expect as a 6th grader, navigating the hallways, where's my lunchroom, lockers, Driveline, everything's different once they hit that 6th grade, okay?
Okay, so we are a new family and I'll be dropping them on 2 different times. I have an elementary and a secondary kid.
Yes, 2 different times.
And since you just mentioned about lockers, I remember I got an email that my daughter has been assigned a locker number, but I do not see the locker invoice on my school bucks.
Okay. It might not have been loaded yet. Again, she thought she had all of the locker fees loaded. So what I would do, she's got to check in at the front office anyways to get assistance, and they'll work with her on that. So she can, once she does that, they'll do a double check to make sure that her fees have been posted, and then you'll get an invoice from My School Bucks.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So don't worry yet if you don't have an invoice in My School Bucks. They have not been loaded yet, okay? If you're inside your account and you don't see anything, it's okay. As soon as it gets loaded, you'll receive an email that says, oh, you have a new invoice to pay. And then you can log in and pay that. You won't be charged a late fee as we get going because we've had such an issue trying to get those fees loaded. STEMK12.org is our homepage. In that rotator, as you'll see, Express Check-in is the main one. If you kind of hover over that, you'll see an arrow to the right. You can scroll to all of the other articles that we have in that rotator, and Spartan Launch is in there. Just make sure that you click on the appropriate one. One is just for kindergarten because that is very specific to kindergarten. And then the other one is 1st through 12th grade. And then it's broken up between elementary and secondary. Math placement is typically for our new to STEM families, so that we have, if they did not submit a math test score when they went through enrollment with us, they sign up for that math placement. I believe it is just for secondary students right now. As students come in elementary, they do take the iReady, and then we utilize that math score. So math placement is for secondary students. If you're new to STEM, make sure you sign them up for that. That way they can come in and take that tomorrow. Okay. I think there's a question about, do you stay for kindergarten Spartan launch? And that is a no.
So Nicole, if we have submitted iReady score, when can we be knowing about where the kid has been placed?
You'll find that out once they start to release the schedules.
Okay,
You'll start to see what math class they were placed in. And then if there needs to be a change, then you would do that through the counselor.
okay.
Okay. All right. I'm
And
gonna
when
be, yeah.
schedules released?
I'm sorry.
When are the schedules released?
So I know they were shooting for tomorrow. So I would take a look tomorrow. If you don't see it in there tomorrow, check toward the evening or check first thing on Wednesday morning.
Nicole,
Yeah.
Nicole, I just want to say thank you so much for all the detail and instructions you've been giving us. Really appreciate it coming into a new school, not knowing, what we're really doing, and we appreciate everything that you're doing for our children. So thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. And welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm not 100% sure about this one particular question. It was asking about remote for kindergarten. So we are not offering any remote education this year. We tried, but CDE changed the requirements for remote education. So that would be any type of virtual learning for a school such as us, which is what they call brick and mortar schools. They don't allow for you to run remote programs. You either have to create a separate school entity that is solely focused on virtual learning. So I'm not sure with the way that that question was worded, if I answered that correctly. And then there was another part, will the class teacher help with lunches, etc. for the first grader? Yes, to a certain extent, the teacher will work with them in the very beginning to help them figure out what's their lunch number, how to put that in, if they are either purchasing lunch or if they're part of the free and reduced lunch program. They will also assist with making sure that they have their lunch boxes in order to go to the cafeteria, but then we have aides inside the cafeteria that help with lunches. There was a question about kindergarten pictures. I'm going to get some more clarification on that. So we do have pictures that are happening on campus on the 9th and 10th, and that is also during kindergarten Spartan launch. So I do believe that they're taking the kindergartners in to have their photos taken during that particular time. I just don't know the actual time frame or window for that. So then there's a question. I do want to say I'll stay on for probably about another 2-3 minutes. I'll power through these questions, but I want to make sure that we have other info sessions this week where I will be hitting some of this, and I want to make sure that I can get with those families that had some additional questions about Driveline. So to see schedules, do you have to have already done express check-in? No. It is helpful for us in order to make sure that we have all of the updated forms and that we have all of your updated contact information. There are people move, they change email addresses, phone numbers, you want to, families join together, they separate. So a lot happens in about 2 months when we're all away from each other. So that was why we utilize express check-in. That's also where you get the student parent handbook. You have to review that and you have to sign it. And there's also some medical forms that you need to make sure that you submit. There are some pretty important forms that we need to make sure that we have. You do that through Express Check-in. It would be where you paid your school fees, had we had those loaded right now. But it will not prevent you from seeing your student's schedule. Let's see. So tech information for laptop. So if you go to stemk12.org under About Us, I think it's IT support or technology support. If you click on that, that is our technology page that our IT department manages. And then there's a tab on that page that says laptop recommendations. So go ahead and take a look at that. The student number. So if you already have your parent portal account set up, you should see your student's 6-digit student ID number. If you are trying to go through Express Check-in for the absolute first time, and you need that GUID number, when you go to our website, there's that form there that says Express Check-in help form. Fill that out. So we are checking those periodically and responding back to parents. Just be patient with us because we have a lot of records to go through. So you'll just indicate that that's what you need and we'll get that information sent to you. Teachers will show up in Infinite Campus this week. Okay. All right, everybody. I want to say thank you so much for joining me today. I know this was a big commitment. We're over an hour and a half right now, but I really appreciate all of the great questions. Please take a look at that Driveline page as well as that transportation management plan. Reach out if you have any questions, communications@stemk12.org, and I will get back to you as quickly as I can. You can also utilize that feedback form that's on the Contact Us page on our website. I'm going to go ahead and stop recording and